Here we go.
Good evening, good night, and welcome to a special Furlong podcast, part of the After Dark series. And we are joined by a gentleman here who started up a fantasy football league that has raised £37,000 so far, has over 620 players, over 80 countries, if I believe correctly. They are in their fifth year. We are joined by tonight the wonderful Matt Cullen from JTT Cup. How are we, Matt? Thank you for joining us tonight. How is everything your end?
The applause, that's superb. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, be on talking about all things JTT Cup for this year.
Yeah, so it started in 2001. Tell us a bit of the story, a bit of the background of it, and a bit of history going into it.
So it was during COVID really, and it kind of the background story actually starts with when I first kind of found out about the charity, which was through a friend who's an NFL fan as well. Known him for a long time, and during the first year of COVID, because he works two jobs, which is he's a window cleaner, but he also does like DJing at weekends. He couldn't work at all during COVID, as obviously many people couldn't, and he set up a Facebook group called the Disco Kitchen, and he used to stream sets live from his kitchen, funnily enough, at the weekend. People that were obviously stuck at home and couldn't go out, and the group attracted quite a following. And after that happened, he started adding a bit of a charity element to the evenings, and people would donate prizes, and he'd do raffles and stuff like that. And the beneficiary of the raffles was the Joshua Talent Trust, and that's how it kind of came to my attention. The story of Joshua and the family really kind of resonated with me, and I wanted to do something to help. And I thought, what can I do to help? I can set up a fantasy football league, use the small following of people I had on social media that were kind of NFL fans in the UK to develop this league. Didn't really know where it was going to go when I first set it up, and fast forward 5 years, and we are where we are now.
Yeah, so as you said, this is, I believe, your fifth year. So why don't you give us a bit of information about how you've grown and what you're looking to do this season?
Yeah, so the first year, so I set it up actually during the season in 2020. I actually missed the start of the season and didn't really get around to organising it till the October. So 2021 was our first year. First year we got 60 people in it, and I was really, really happy with that. We raised 750 quid. Wasn't really sure back then what it was going to look like. Wasn't even sure I was just going to do it as a one-off. But then we grew. So the following 3 years, we grew to 250, and then 440, and then 620 people across the following 3 years. And obviously we raised more year on year. And as Ollie stated at the beginning there, we're currently live as of now, having already had some fundraising for 2025. We're now just over 37,500 all time.
So the Joshua Talent Trust was set up by his family regarding a young man who passed away at the age of 16 through brain tumours. I get the words right. How did it resonate to you? How does the family feel about things like this? I'm guessing it must be a horrible thing for them to live through stuff like that, but knowing his name lives on through things like this, I can see you've got golf days and things like that they all do as well.
Yeah, so Joshua's parents, Denise and Sean, set up a trust in his name years after he sadly passed away. So he was diagnosed at 8 years old. He wasn't actually given that long to live, but managed to live for a further 8 years with some treatment before obviously, unfortunately, passing away when he was 16, as you said. They set the trust up in his name, and I have to say that the strength I see from the family is really, really inspiring. And I think what kind of resonated with me was that I have a son who wasn't much younger back then than how old Joshua was when he was diagnosed, and with the family being local to where I live, it was just a really inspiring story, and that's kind of what resonated with me. I've obviously met Sean and Denise in person, been involved with the charity for quite some time, and I'm now an ambassador for the charity as well, which they kindly asked me to be last summer. And it's just it's just an inspiring story to obviously see the strength that they've had following such personal tragedy, and the lengths they go to raise money to support other children that suffer from the same thing. And they work with a great company called Brainbow in Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge to provide that care with the money that they raise.
So obviously the money they raise, how did it go about helping the other children that have it? Is it equipment they have, or is it like specialist days out and things like that? Or does it go to the families and things? How does it
It's
go
a
out?
bit all that, to be honest. So they have a couple of people work within Addenbrooke's Hospital, and obviously work with Brainbow. So it's just in care for those children with brain tumours, and also funding support for their families. So obviously a lot of the children have to essentially live at the hospital. So they provide, accommodation for parents and stuff like that, support and days out where obviously the children are strong enough to manage a day out. So yeah, it's a little bit of everything you said: the care, the support of the family, and obviously just providing that for the children that are going through such a harrowing thing.
Yeah, so how could people who want to get involved with this charity, especially the JTT Cup?
So if they just want to donate to the charity, the charity's website is joshuatarranttrust.org.uk, and there's a Just Giving link on their website where people can donate directly to the charity. If they want to get involved in the JTT Cup or some of the other little contests that we run, we're on social media. So the key social media we use is X, and the handle's there, so it's at JTT Cup. They can also email jttbestball@outlook.com if they don't have X. And the JTT Cup, we're going to obviously talk about it a little bit more, is just a multi-division best ball tournament. So it's really easy to play. It's essentially you draft your players and then you leave it up to us, and you leave it up to the software to determine your team. You don't have to set lineups or anything like that. So it's really easy. We wanted to make it really easy for new people to the NFL, new people to fantasy. So that's how they can be involved.
Yeah, I like best ball. It's a lot less stressful than having to pick your lineup every week.
Oh god, yeah. I just optimize it and just hope that works 9 times out of 10. Obviously we heard quite a lot from Bolton Big Fella. They had a team last year. I think they got to the last 8, if I remember correctly off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think so. The way we run it is we have usually 13 weeks of like regular season. The ranking is points for win loss, so it's all about scoring points. And then we essentially set it up. So last year we had conferences of 50. We had conferences of 50 people, and then 15 people out of the 50 in each conference qualified for like a 4-week playoff bracket. And essentially we just do it as the 15 in the conference go through, and then the first round of the playoffs, the bottom 5 scores gets eliminated until you end up with one player from each conference, and then that's the week 17 final. I believe Baldy and the Big Fella came top of their conference and got to the kind of the penultimate round. They didn't actually make it to the final, which was a shame because that was their first kind of stab at it. But yeah, it shows that people who don't necessarily play fantasy football but know a bit about the NFL can actually do really well in the competition. And there is an element of luck to it with injuries and stuff like that. But you do have to have you do have to know a little bit about what you're doing to do well.
So how does the drafting work with so many different teams?
So it's essentially copies. So last year we had 62 divisions to 10. So obviously it's just standard drafting, the standard snake draft. But what it does mean is that you'll have 62 people with Josh Allen, but only obviously it's unique to each division. So you don't get any completely duplicate teams. You will get teams that are very similar, but we've been doing it for 4 years and we've never had an issue where we've had a tie between players or anything like that because of identical lineups. We do quite a deep draft, so it's normally 24 or 26 rounds just because of those injuries. We draft in July, and the last thing you want is your star player going down with a torn ACL in August, but it does unfortunately happen. So usually just a starting lineup of 10, and that's how it works. We don't ever have any issues with duplicates or ties.
How did you get into the NFL yourself? Tell us a bit about your background with the NFL as well, going through that.
So I think like a lot of UK based players. I played Madden when I was a teenager on the GameCube, so kind of early noughties. I don't think Ollie was alive then, was he? But yeah.
I'm not that young. I was alive in the 90s.
Okay, fair enough.
98.
Right. So I think I had Madden 2002. And that was my first experience of the game. Used to play as the Rams because, greatest show on turf. They were the best team to play as. But my aunt moved out to Connecticut in the early 90s to be an au pair, and she never came back. And because of that, I was quite interested in America and the culture and the country and stuff like that. So that's how I kind of taught myself the rules of the game, was playing Madden. Got the opportunity to go to the States for the first time in 2006 with my brother. We did like a 3-week tour of a lot of the Midwest cities and Northeast. And the Sunday we were in New York. The Jets were at home, so we got tickets to see them play the Texans. And that's why I chose the Jets. So I've always joked that if the Giants had been at home that Sunday, then I would have seen my team win 2 Super Bowls since. But as it
taking 2 off us lot. Thank you very much.
Yeah. As it turns out, it's been fairly painful as a Jets fan for the last 20 years nearly. But there you go. I wouldn't change it. But that's where it kind of came from. And, obviously the game's become more accessible to us through social media and Sky and stuff like that in the last 15 years, which has been great. And the obsession with it has kind of grown from there, I guess.
You see, you guys were both smart because you picked team on the East Coast, so only 5 hours difference, whereas I've got the West Coast, so 8 hours. But it's funny you talk about Madden because when I first played Madden on the Nintendo DS, I always used to be the Colts.
All right.
But then I somehow
New England.
I somehow ended up a Niners fan.
No, I've always been New England. I'd say was Matt. I picked up Madden 99, so even older than that, when just as they drafted Tom Brady, ironically, and it just stuck. But even then, I didn't know the players. I changed all the players' names to my mates, and I made myself the quarterback because I could do that. Ironically, I ended up playing cornerback instead. But yeah, it's the way it's grown in this sport is outstanding. It shows with the way that your league's gone from 60 people up to over 600 people in the 5 years. It's the way that sport's grown, and it's accessible now, and having things like fantasy things like that as well is a great way to go forward as well. It's a brilliant thing. You're doing a brilliant charity. You're helping as well with that one, and I doff my cap to you every time I see you, my friend. You're brilliant on that one. Absolutely brilliant. You helped me sell a ticket as well, which is even better.
Well, I'd just like to help out where I can. So.
No, most definitely. Are you planning to go back over to America? I knew you were planning to go over last year, weren't you? But plans got put aside, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, my planned trip to New York, which was for my 40th, which was last year, didn't go ahead because I wasn't very well. I'm actually going to Florida on Saturday with my kids and family. So, but obviously we're out of NFL season. So, I'm going to see the Magic against the Celtics next Wednesday.
Ollie's a big Celtics fan.
I'm a massive Celtics fan. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with a boy. So we'll see. I'm still not. If I'm really honest, I'm still not 100% sure on flying, which is a bit of a weird thing to say when I'm getting on a plane on Saturday. But assuming everything's good, then I'm looking to potentially go again this October and reschedule it. So hopefully.
Never know. They might be over in Germany or Spain or back over here, so you don't have as far to travel.
Well, yeah. It was odd because I was supposed to be seeing. Obviously, I was supposed to be seeing 2 NFL games while I was out there. I was going to New England to see the Pats, and then Sunday, and then the Thursday night was the Texans at home when Garrett Wilson made that ridiculous catch. So I missed that.
God, yeah.
Which is your favorite game you've seen live? Because I'm not sure if you're aware with Andy Davis. He's been to about 6 or 7 Miami games as a Dolphins fan and has never seen them win.
Yes,
No.
I'm very aware of that because the last one was a loss to the Jets around Christmas time, wasn't it? So,
Yes.
yeah.
He was freezing cold in MetLife, wasn't he?
Yeah. I mean, you know, in terms of Jets game, my favourite one that I've been to is the first one because actually, it just brings back so many memories of my first time in New York. Really, really getting into the sport. The Jets won as well, which was full.
Rare.
And obviously when we beat the Dolphins at Wembley, that was a good memory.
Was that the kick at the end?
So
The
again,
50, was that like the 50-odd yard field goal at the end?
So
what,
ridiculous.
against the Dolphins?
Yeah.
No, we beat the Dolphins 27-14. It wasn't
Yeah.
that close.
Oh no, I'm thinking of the Jags versus the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I'm the same. My favorite 49ers game I've seen is my first one at Levi Stadium. Well, I say my first one, my only one.
Yeah, nice.
How did you feel last year, 4 plays into the season?
Well, ironically, I didn't actually watch that game live. I normally would watch a primetime game live, but my work schedule meant I had to be up at 4:30 for work. So I actually woke up. And what I usually do with primetime games, if I'm not able to watch them, is I turn off X and sleeper notifications so that I can get up and watch the highlights on YouTube without knowing what's happened. So yeah, obviously I saw that we won. I think I saw a notification that we won somewhere, and then watched the highlights, and it was like, how the hell have we won with Rodgers down after 4 snaps? But yeah, obviously didn't feel great, and it's quite clear, not just because of the injury, but also with how he played this season, that the Rodgers experiment was not a good one. So happy to have cut those ties for sure.
Well,
How
what's
you
your view
feel?
on getting Justin Fields as your new quarterback? Because I'm not sure if you know Shane on our podcast. He's a very big fan of Justin Fields.
Is he?
Yeah.
It's my biggest Raven.
I mean, the way I see it is that it could give us something different. Could open up the run game. He's obviously got some different qualities to Rodgers. Not saying that he's better than Rodgers, absolutely not. But the way I see it also is that it acts as a little bit of a bridge, and the 2026 quarterback class is slated to be quite good. So if we end up in the top 8 picks again, as we so often do, then it's not necessarily the worst thing. But also it could work out quite well. So try not to be too optimistic because we're at that stage of the season, Jets fan, where you're in that. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Where do you want them to go in the draft? What position?
Every year I say offensive tackle or something on the offensive line, because that always seems to be our problem. But I really don't know. There's lots of chat on kind of Jets Twitter about lots of different positions, tight end, linebacker. So we'll see what happens. Could always trade down as well. Who knows?
That's the Belichick way, isn't it? Trading down Ollie.
Yep. Yeah, used to that. Yeah, we're gonna pick. Oh, he's gone back 3 places. Oh, we've gone back again. Oh, we've lost the player we wanted. Great. Yeah, used to that. Hopefully, touch word, I can stay up until the 4th pick and we'll still actually pick a player, which would make a nice change. Out of all the players you've seen, New York or NFL in live, who's been the best one you enjoyed the most?
What, Jets or?
In general, and Jets or anyone in the NFL that you've seen?
So I guess, so I really love Nick Mangold. He was a great player for us. I got the opportunity to meet him a few years back. The Jets fan clubs held a draft party down in London, and he was there, so that was great. But outside of the Jets, I really, really like Larry Fitzgerald. So he's probably my favourite player outside of the Jets. I actually watched the Super Bowl against the Steelers in New York,
Yeah.
at my auntie's house actually. So we went back to visit again, me and my wife to be, as we were, in 2009, and that was actually for her 21st. But we spent Super Bowl Sunday at my auntie's, so watched that game live in the States, which was great. And he obviously had a superb game. Unfortunately, didn't finish on the winning side, but there you go. So that's mine.
As a fan wise, because I've never been out there for the Super Bowl, I don't know if Ollie has. What's it like watching the Super Bowl in the States? Obviously, I spoke to Andy a few weeks ago. He went to the stadium. What's it like being in the States, watching out there? Is it just absolute chaos, or what's it like out there?
Yeah, it was just, I remember, so we spent the weekend at my aunt's, so she lives about an hour and a half on the train outside of New York. So you just get on the train at Grand Central, and an hour and a half later, you're pretty much at her house. I just remember everyone on the train when we were traveling was talking about it. We went to like the local grocery store, and it's just insane how excited they get for it, obviously. But it's getting like that over here now. With the way that the game is growing over here, there's certainly a buzz about it on Super Bowl Sunday on socials and stuff like that. So, which is great to see.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Shane and Phil are massive wrestling fans. I think they were more like to see a WrestleMania over here than we are a Super Bowl over here. But it's something that I think that we could do really well over here. I mean, I don't think it'll work, but
We'll never. Well, I don't think we'll ever get a Super Bowl over here because it's such a big event in America that I don't think the NFL will be willing to do it in another country.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like their national holiday pretty much over there,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's mad, I always remember the How I Met Your Mother episode when they watched the Super Bowl and they all couldn't watch it because of the a funeral or something like that, and it's
Yeah.
So trying to go around and not know the score for 24 hours is really difficult. It's bad enough waking up on knowing your team's played prime time, you've missed and forgot to turn notifications. It literally scrolls through your phone.
That happened to me in the Formula One a couple of weeks ago.
JTT Cup. What platform does it run off? Is it off the NFL or is it off Sleeper or what?
Yeah, no, we run it on Sleeper. So I'm a big advocate for Sleeper. I really like the user interface, and again because we try to get a lot of new fantasy players into it. Sleeper's really easy to use. So and it's really easy to make copies of divisions. So that's a key thing for me. There's two key things. The reason we use it, well, three. The user interface is really easy. I can make one master division, put all the settings in, and then make 60 or 70 copies of it, and then just change the names of the divisions. So that's the second reason. And then the third reason is that I have a guy who lives in the States. I don't know how he does it. He has some code written where he just takes all the scoring out of Sleeper and it copies into a Google Sheet. So I don't have to go in and tap scores into my Google Sheet. It just pulls it all out for me. I don't think he can do that with the NFL website. So that's a massive help because in year one, every week I'd tap 60 scores in by hand. And then in year two, I was like, I can't do this for 250 people. And then this guy was like, oh, yeah, I can do that for you. So I normally wake up on a Tuesday morning. He's just going to bed after Monday night. I'm just getting up and he's gone, pressed the button and gone, yeah, all your scores are in there for you. And I just then sort them and do what I need to do. So yeah, that's why we use Sleeper.
Yeah, Sleep is definitely the best app in my opinion of the few I've used.
Yeah,
I've only used Sleep in the NFL, so I can't really compare. I mean, I do like the NFL. It's simple. It is simple and straightforward, especially the scoring thing. But I understand why people who've got the bigger ones, like Ian on one of the other Facebook pages who does his Predictor League, he uses Sleep and says it's incredibly easy. So I understand why the people with the bigger leagues use it. So yeah. Remind us again, where can we find us and how do we get involved into league?
So yeah, main two places, social media. So there is a Facebook group if you search JTT Cup Best Ball, but most of our social stuff is done on X at the moment, which is at JTT Cups on the screen. Anyone who hasn't got X who wants to be involved can email us at jttbestball@outlook.com. We're kind of officially launching for 2025 tomorrow. So we are actually going to drop when we come off air with you guys, we're going to drop our 2025 theme, which is exclusively for you guys, is sports movies. So we've had a different theme every year. In year one, we actually had a pirate theme because the Bucks had won the Super Bowl the previous season. And I was like, I'll just do it as pirate.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and then in year 2 we did like local. We got where everybody lived, or the closest city they lived in, and we grouped them in divisions like close to each other, so that a couple of people done a live draft because they all live close to each other. We held a live draft at my house on a July afternoon, which was great. And then we had a theme 2 years ago of division rivals. So every division of 10, we had like 2 Patriots fans, 3 Jets fans, 2 Bills fans, 2 Dolphins fans, or whatever, which made for some quite interesting group chats during the season. And then last year we had a music theme, so we just had 62 artists. And what was really great last year was people getting put in divisions, and we had some really incredibly punny team names that were kind of related to their division, which was great. But yeah, so this year's going to be sports movies. We launch tomorrow properly. We have already started sign-ups. We do have 170 sign-ups already. That's without actually launching yet. And yeah, we're kind of we run a few other little contests as well on Sleeper. So Sleeper started doing Fantasy Premier League, which we did this year, but it's not great. So we're going to go back to using FPL, which we did 2 years ago. And they do Premier League pick'ems and NFL pick'ems as well. So we had 250 people in the NFL pick'ems this year, which was the max. And some people won some good money from it, 200-300 quid the winners got, and we do a 50-50 split. So there's all sorts of things to get involved in. This year, the final thing to kind of tell you is this year we're holding a donation day. So Joshua actually passed away on the 29th of April. And this year on the 30th of April, because it's the end of the month and most people probably be paid around then, we're aiming to do a donation day. So we want to take over social media with this and get as many people to donate on that day as possible to boost the charity around the unfortunate anniversary of Joshua's death, or close to it. And it also means that if a ton of people donate on that one day, it saves us a load of work in kind of May and June while we're setting stuff up. So the other thing to add to that is that we're going to have a number of prizes. We're going to do a couple of prize draws for everybody that has donated up to and including the 30th of April. So more details on that as we get the prizes. But I do know that we have a signed Jamar Chase Bengals jersey as one of the prizes that we're giving away. And there's going to be a few more, but I just need to put them all together the other side of when I get back from Florida to make sure that we can advertise that as well. So sorry, I've spoken for ages there, but I wanted to get all of that information in before we finished. Yeah.
No, you're welcome. I mean, as you said, it's a wonderful charity. It's a wonderful thing you set up. This league you've done, and the 37,000 you've helped has helped these hundreds of families that have got this horrible disease and horrible illness. Please go and donate. Please go and help. Join in. Have a bit of laugh, have a bit of fun. As I said, even if you don't play fantasy football and you're new to the NFL, it's a incredibly easy thing to use, incredibly good thing to join. And again, very quickly, Matt, before we go, what's your fantasy team name?
I can't say it on air. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. The one I've used for years is Brady's deflated ball bag.
Cheers for that. And on that interesting note, Matt, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back.
Thank you very much for coming on.
We'll be back, as always, on Thursday for our usual show. But until then, good night and stay safe all.
Thanks.